Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we got another episode of reviewing NHL teams offseason so far, as today we're going to be taking a look at the Winnipeg Jets, and is the last team on our list, which I am so damn excited because that means the season is about to begin here very soon. But before we get into the pretty busy offseason by the Winnipeg Jets, I'd like to just say, if you are new to the channel, make sure to slap that subscribe button and hit that like button as well. That'll be very much appreciated, boys. So let's get into this puppy here with the Winnipeg Jets. As like I said before, they had a pretty busy offseason. Picking up Brenden, Dillon, also Nate Schmidt, and making their defensive core look pretty damn scary, if you ask me. I like the way that they did a lot of the trades, which we'll kind of be getting into here actually right now. Might as well. Let's get into talking about these trades that they made here by the Winnipeg Jets and the reason why I like them. Now, looking at the Winnipeg Jets, they lost a lot of defensemen. Dustin Byfuglien retiring, and then Jacob Trouba wanting out, and losing a few people to free agency, and Tyler Myers, and Toby Enstrom also left. This team kind of goes through that syndrome of players not wanting to stay in Winnipeg, and it seems to be that case with a lot of, players. But now, you trade after Brenden Dillon, who has, 3 to 4 years left on his contract. Yeah, 3 years left on Dillon's contract. I think there's like 4 years left on Nate Schmidt. So now you have these guys in your top four for the next 4 to 3 years, and you don't really pay a whole lot. Brenden Dillon, sure, he was a little bit of an overpayment, but if he brings that really good defenseman attributes, these second round picks don't look that bad. But, this Nate Schmidt deal for only a third round pick, whew, that was a spicy deal. Now, I'm going to show you Nate Schmidt's analytics, and I'd like to just say, make sure to go check out my boy Jfresh. His link will be down in the description below for his Patreon. But here are Nate Schmidt's analytics. Now, yes, it doesn't look very pretty over this past 2 years for Nate Schmidt. He hasn't been very good defensively. 8% this past year on even strength defense. And same with the year before that, 35%. But if he gets back up to where he was with Vegas Golden Knights, bringing that, great two-way game, like how he was in Vegas, and he brings that to Winnipeg, I feel like Nate Schmidt could be a very good defenseman. But even then, if he just brings that fact that he could play some really good even strength offense and be a decent defenseman, like he could be, like a very good two-way guy, I mean, he already is. He plays really good on the PK, not too bad on the power play. He's a guy that is just going to be a really useful defenseman for the Winnipeg Jets moving forward, I feel. Even when, I guess, his second year wasn't the greatest with the Vegas Golden Knights, but it still was good. He was putting up a lot of offense, giving some good defensive numbers. And if he goes back to the form where he was in 18-19, 27-18, Nate Schmidt could be an absolute beast for the Winnipeg Jets. And I do truly believe that Nate Schmidt possibly could be that for the Winnipeg Jets. And I like the deals that they did make. Dillon, sure, they overpaid him a little bit, but Nate Schmidt was a steal of a deal. Only having to pay a third-round pick in 2022 is honestly a steal. Nate Schmidt's just going to be a really strong defenseman for the Jets. So, moving on to the draft, and I really like their draft. They picked up Chaz Lucius, who was a player I was kind of hoping the Oilers got, and same with Nikita Chibarov, which also a Russian beast. I've heard a lot of good stuff about him, that he could be a really strong Russian forward moving forward. Not that bad in the KHL, not too bad in the VHL. I was really good in the World Juniors, 13 points in 7 games. This is a really strong forward. And they picked a lot of nice Russians. I heard Dmitry Kuzmin as well is not too bad. He's a Belarus player, and I heard some good stuff about him as well. So they did really good with their draft, and I was pretty well impressed with just the 2 picks with Chaz Lucius and Nikita Chibarikov. I've heard a lot of good things about him. I heard he could potentially be the steal of the draft. So, moving on towards the signings here for the Winnipeg Jets, they did a decent amount, of course. First up, Adam Lowry. He signed a 5-year, $3.25 million deal. I felt like this one was a bit of an overpayment. It was just a little bit of an overpayment, but for a guy that has been on the team for a long time, he plays really well defensively, I don't think you're going to lose out on this one. He's going to be a good fourth liner for probably the rest of his career for the Winnipeg Jets. Solid signing there. Paul Stastny to a 1-year, $3.75 million deal. Absolutely love it. He brings really good offense to the team. He could play either the wing or as a center. He could play all over the place. That's the great thing about Paul Stastny. But the thing is, he also plays pretty well defensively. He's definitely not the greatest defensive player in the world, but he still brings that, that form that he could play very well defensively, and he still has that great offensive game. So really good deal there for Paul Stastny. And Riley Nash, I like it. Good depth forward. He plays really good defensively. Neil Pionk, I really loved Pionk last year. I thought he was one of the best defensemen for the Winnipeg Jets, so locking him up to a 4-year, $5.875 million deal, I thought is well worth it, especially if he continues to improve in his game as a two-way defenseman. I feel like he could continue improving his game. He was awesome offensively when he came to Winnipeg, but it seemed that, he was a very underrated player. I didn't really think very highly of Neil Pionk when he was first picked up by the Winnipeg Jets, but he slowly grew into a really good two-way defenseman and has become one of the best defensemen for the Winnipeg Jets. And in Andrew Copp, they had some negotiation problems with him, but they got him to a 1-year, $3.64 million deal. And I honestly think Andrew Copp, he's a really good player. I think, give him another year. This year, I think he'll be a really solid forward for the Winnipeg Jets. He was playing high up in the top 6, had 15 goals, 24 assists, 39 points in 55 games. He was a really solid player for the Winnipeg Jets. Probably even deserved a little bit more money, and we'll have to see even if he's able to, or if he will even re-sign with the Winnipeg Jets. I'm pretty sure he was an RFA for this deal. He might even be leaving the team after this deal. I feel he might be doing. But he's a really good player. I feel like he's just ready to be ready to break out as a all-star here soon. Not as an all-star, but he had a real strong season last year. But I feel like he's just going to be that great role player, whether he's playing on that first, second, third line, wherever he may play. He's going to be a good two-way guy who's going to throw up a lot of offense. So, looking at the team here for the Winnipeg Jets, and I quite like what they got. The depth is a bit concerning here. Is Vesalainen going to play good? Will Harkins and Gustafsson do good? They got some big questions down there with their depth, but honestly, they got quite a good team, especially defensively. I'm not a big fan of Logan Stanley, of course, but, you look at DeMello. He's awesome. Neil Pionk, Dillon, Schmidt, Morrissey, all really solid defense. Morrissey is, he was okay. Wasn't the greatest, but he's okay. But their defensive core looks really strong coming towards this upcoming season. Their forward core, their top 6, looks really strong, especially with Connor, Scheifele, Wheeler, Copp, Dubois. If Dubois was kind of down on himself last year. He felt like, this past season wasn't his best year and he could play a lot better. So I expect, a breakout year here and a comeback year for Dubois, I feel, this year. And then Nikolai Ehlers, who was absolutely amazing last year, and I think is just going to have another breakout season this year, honestly. And then, of course, you have Hellebuck and Eric Comrie will be the backup this year for Hellebucks. And no, Laurent Brossoit this year as he left off to go to Vegas. And they did lose a decent amount of players. Tucker Pullman, which I don't think is a huge loss. Same with Derek Ford, but they replaced him with even better players. Brossoit, I felt like is a huge loss. Perrault, he was a huge depth, miss as well. That sucks that he's left to Montreal. And then Trevor Lewis and Nate Thompson as well. But I felt like those guys are not going to be too big of losses anyways, because all they can really do is play on the PK and play for 5 to 6 minutes worth of ice time. So I quite like what the Winnipeg Jets did. I think I'm going to go with a B+ here. A lot of the contracts that they signed with Stastny, Lowry, all of them were pretty good. None of them looked that bad. The trades that they did were really good. They improved their defensive core, finally picking up Nate Schmidt and Dillon. So their defensive core actually looks quite good coming into this upcoming season. So I'm going to go with a B+. And yeah, tell me guys in the comment section below what you guys thought about the Winnipeg Jets' offseason. As yeah, I'm going to end the video here, guys, now. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Adios, amigos.